Hey, what is happening, fellow truth seekers? Welcome to the Brave New World Order podcast. I am your host, Brandon St. One. Thank you for joining me today as we deep dive into the Emerald Tablet. What is the Emerald Tablet, you ask? Or you may already know. Maybe you know a lot more about this than I do. I'm just exploring and trying to learn for myself. I am by no means an expert on this. I find it awesome and interesting, and I want to learn as much about it as possible. So follow me down. Let's go deep down into the black hole of knowledge and see what we unearth, see what we find. So, from what I have found, the Emerald Tablet is an ancient artifact carved from a single piece of green crystal that reveals a profound spiritual knowledge. And encoded in the tablet's wording is a powerful formula that works on all levels of reality all at once. The physical, the mental, and the spiritual. It shows us how to achieve personal transformation and even accelerate the evolution of our species. It is the source of all alchemy and the Hermetic sciences. So what does this tablet say? Well, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it to you, and then we can talk about who wrote it and where it came from, because that goes deep. And then I want to follow up with it with a part 2 and a part 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6 infinity, because there's so much to it. I was trying to cap it off at where I was going to be, like what I was going to talk about, and it just kept going deeper and deeper. My head was about to explode. So what I want to do is I want to read the text. I want to read the Emerald Tablet to you, and then I want to talk about the writer, Hermes Trismegistus, kind of a hard name to pronounce. I went over it in my head a bunch of times. Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes the Thrice Greatest, or the Thrice Great, or many, many other names. We'll get into that and take a look at some of the other texts this person may be responsible for. So let's take a look at the Emerald Tablet and what it says. It starts, "It is true without untruth, certain and most true. That which is below is like that which is on high, and that which is on high is like that which is below. By these things are made the miracles of one thing, and as all things are, and come from one, by the mediation of one, so all things are born from this unique thing by adaptation. The sun is the father, and the moon is the mother. The wind carries it in its stomach. The earth is its nourisher and its receptacle. The father of all the Thalim of the universal world is here. Its force or power remains entire. If it is converted into earth, you separate the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross, gently with great industry. It climbs from the earth and descends from the sky, and receives the force of things superior and things inferior. You will have by this way the glory of the world, and all obscurity will flee from you. It is the power strong with all power, for it will defeat every subtle thing and penetrate every solid thing. In this way, the world was created. From it are born wonderful adaptations, of which the way here is given. That is why I have been called Hermes Trismegistus, having the 3 parts of the universal philosophy. This, that I have called the solar work, is complete." Ain't that some shit, right? I like that. That has some power to it. That's powerful words right there. What do you think about that, huh? Let me know what you think. Is that some powerful shit? So I'm going to post the translations of this. There's a few of them, a few people from Isaac Newton to Madame Helena Blavatsky, who I want to do a deep dive on, and Theosophy, that was her. She did a translation, and there's a few differences in it, like when it said, let me see, what was it? The father of all the Thalim of the universal world is here. Well, the Thalim thing, like I don't really know what that meant, and it got translated a couple of times. Like in the Newton version, he says the father of all perfection in ye whole world is here. So he didn't use the word thalim in his translation, but it's all pretty much the same. He just adds a couple ye's and his like, that which I have said of ye, operation of ye son is accomplished and ended, instead of what the original translation said, this that I have called the solar work is complete. I like that better. Isaac Newton people don't know that he was batshit nuts into like alchemy and all that stuff. Pretty sure he was looking for the Philosopher's Stone, like all those other maniacs throughout history, like John Dee and Edward Kelly. If you haven't listened to my previous deep dive episode on them conjuring angels and wife swapping, I suggest you give it a listen. It's pretty cool. It's an awesome story. So yeah, definitely peep that. But for now, we'll check back with Hermes Trismegistus, and we'll take a look at where he came from and who he is, because it looks like he may have been like 1,000 different people. The more I keep going, I had to stop because it just keeps going deeper and deeper into like almost every religion like that ever existed. There's a version of Hermes Trismegistus involved some way or another. There's an alchemist, Zosimus, called him 1,000 times great as opposed to thrice great. And Clement of Alexandria, who's an early Christian from like 100 AD, wrote 42 books on Hermes Trismegistus alone. 42 books. So this gets real fucking deep. It's awesome. And then there's a philosopher, Iamblichus. He said that Hermes Trismegistus wrote 20,000 books. And Manly P. Hall said one of these books, the Book of Thoth, contained the secret processes by which the regeneration of humanity was to be accomplished. And then there's Manetho, an Egyptian historian and priest from 3rd century BC, said that Thoth wrote 36,000 books. And there's Aleister Crowley, who says that the tarot deck is actually from the Book of Thoth, which goes back to Hermes Trismegistus as well. This tablet is just supposedly one of many. There's also the Emerald Tablets of Thoth as well, which I want to dive into. But like I said, there is just so much information. My head was going to explode. I had to kind of just narrow it down and be like, I want to talk about the Emerald Tablet. I want to get into who Hermes Trismegistus is. I want to get into how he's both from the Greek mythology as well as Egyptian mythology, and how they say he combined into one. But it seems like it goes a lot deeper than that. It seems like this person who, or whatever he may be, it seems like he may have actually been reincarnated or just took on different forms throughout the history of time. And I want to go through who those incarnations were. So we'll start with Hermes, which is the Greek mythology. And Hermes was the messenger of the gods and the protector of human messengers and travelers and thieves and merchants, which is where Mercury, he was also Mercury, merchants and Mercury, that's how you get the wording. It goes from Greek to Latin and all that stuff. So he was very fast moving because he was the messenger. And symbol was the caduceus, which is the winged staff that's intertwined with the two snakes that we know from our medicine, our medical symbol that's on our ambulances. And some say it also represents DNA, how it's kind of intertwined, kind of like a helix. It's interesting theory. And Hermes is responsible for inventing the alphabet, numbers, astronomy, music, the art of fighting, gymnastics, the cultivation of the olive tree, measures, weights, and healing magic. Hermes has been mentioned since the 15th to 13th century BCE in tablets that have been discovered in Pylos, Thebes, and Knossos. In origins in Arcadian as a fertility god. He was also regarded as a divine trickster, as the divine trickster. And Carl Jung looked at Hermes' role as a trickster and looked at him as a guide through the psychotherapeutic process. For Jung, Hermes' role as messenger between realms and as guide to the underworld made him the god of the unconscious, the mediator between the conscious and the unconscious parts of the mind, and the guide for inner journeys. Jung considered the gods Thoth and Hermes to be counterparts. In Jungian psychology especially, Hermes is seen as relevant to study of the phenomenon of synchronicity. Pretty fucking dope, right? I think so. Let me know what you think. Let's get this conversation started, right? This shit's awesome. Hit me up at the Brave New World Order Podcast at gmail.com, on Twitter at BNWO Podcast, and then I'm on Facebook. You can look that up too. I don't even really use it, but I'm on there. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter, email me, say what's up, because I think this stuff's awesome. I'd like to get a discussion going. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Maybe you know more about this than I do. Maybe we can have a discussion. Maybe we can talk about it. So let me know. Pretty awesome. So now I'm going to look into the counterpart, Thoth. And the name Thoth comes from the Egyptian. He is like the ibis. And he was often depicted as a man with the head of an ibis or a baboon. And definitely one of the most important gods of ancient Egypt. And he is said to be self-created or born of the seed of Horus from the forehead of Set. As the son of these two deities representing order and chaos respectively, he was also the god of equilibrium. Pretty cool. So he's like balance and shit. And he's also known as the judge, like a lord of divine words, as a just and incorruptible judge. And his name is also have been used for the pharaohs like Tutmos, which means born of Thoth. Pretty cool shit. And Thoth was credited with the creation of numbers and knowledge, magic, philosophy, religion, science, writing. And he was known as, like I said, an infallible judge capable of rendering completely just decisions. The Greeks admired him so greatly that they credit him as the originator of all knowledge on earth and in the heavens. Thoth created the written word people use to record their history and keep track of their daily lives. Thoth invented the word and gave it to humanity, according to some stories, but in others, his consort Sheshat gave words to the people, but he created them and she gave them. Osiris and Isis also gave words to humanity in some of the stories in Egyptian mythology. The creator of written language and the literary arts, both for humans and the gods. Thoth was linked with the concept of fate, even though his responsibility was shared with other gods, the 7 Hathors, or other deities. And he was the record keeper of the gods as well. He kept account of the days for the humans. He is seen in a number of images keeping track of the days and numbering the years by which the Egyptian scribes were able to record the country's history. So that's a basic rundown on Thoth and Hermes, who are the two main gods or people or whatever they are, aliens, who know, Anunnaki, who knows what they really are. This goes deep, and I want to get more into that in later episodes and just keep diving, keep digging, because it really is just this. I think this might be like the connection to everything. All this, I think it goes back to the beginning of mankind, and once you start looking into this, I think you can start really, I don't know, maybe not like actually understanding everything about where we come from, but you can start to, you can try to get a better understanding anyway. You get a better understanding, I'll say that, because we'll never know. It's fucking nuts. So, Hermes Trismegistus may have lived before the Great Flood and invented hieroglyphics and used these hieroglyphics to preserve knowledge because he knew that there was a flood coming. And then after the flood, another incarnation translates the hieroglyphics into Greek and then put it into books. And then Hermes Trismegistus may have also built the pyramids, and he also may have been Enoch from the Bible, from the Old Testament, who wrote the book of Enoch. That's another episode, or 5 or 10. That's an awesome story too. Hermes Trismegistus might be Enoch. He may have built the mystical city of Adocentin, which is 85 statues at the Mountains of the Moon to regulate the flow of the Nile. And that goes back to an 11th century Arabic text called the Gahiyat al-Hakim. I probably didn't pronounce that right at all, but I did my best. and that was written in the thousands and translated to Lost Spanish, Old Spanish, and then later to Latin. So he built the pyramids. He's Enoch. He's Adam's grandson from Adam and Eve. Yeah. That's fucking the coolest part of it. Like, I've been doing a lot of research, and I want to do an episode into Enoch, and I think Enoch may have built the pyramids way long time ago. And I'll get more into that too. And then there's Cadmus, who was Phoenician. Spartans and the Sidonians and Akkadians worshipped Cadmus. That was probably Hermes Trismegistus as well. Fuji in Chinese mythology. According to Dennis William Hauck and his book Alchemy for Personal Transformation, which I highly recommend, and I'm posting it in the show links, Belinus of Tyana, which is modern-day Turkey, who was born in the 16th century, was also an incarnation of Hermes Trismegistus, after he unearthed a tomb underneath a Hermes statue in his homeland of Tyana. And there are written accounts of him doing amazing things, and his followers even insisted that his body rose physically to heaven, and no trace of his corpse was ever found. Alchemists in later centuries interpreted this to mean Belinus transformed into the Philosopher's Stone, the ultimate merging of mind and matter, the perfect fusion of the one mind and the one thing. On the other hand, a few historians have surmised that his disciples stole the body and entombed him in a secret cave, perhaps with the emerald tablet in his arms. Idris, an Islamic prophet, like I said, Mercury from Roman mythology, Odin in Norse mythology, and Odin is known to go by 1,000 names himself, so that makes sense. In the Celtic pantheon, there's Lugus, there's Nabu from ancient Mesopotamia, the son of Marduk, Terms in Etruscan, which is ancient Italy, Tuscany, from earliest writings of them are from 900 BC. So this goes deep. This Hermes Trismegistus may have been Quetzalcoatl from Aztec, built this pyramids in South America, and that's a whole nother story about the Emerald Tablets of Thoth too, because there's a man called Maurice, who is Dr. Doriel, who was commissioned to go find the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and he ended up in South America and Egypt, and all. It's a fantastical story. I want to get into that as well. If I don't drop an episode on it, you look it up and check it out yourself too, because it's amazing. It always is. So we got all these different people that may have been Hermes Trismegistus. And you go and you could look into every single one of these, and maybe I will in an episode, but they just keep going and going. There's just more and more. Look into almost every type of religion, every type of mythology. There is somebody that is related to Hermes Trismegistus. The message is out there. Even Jesus, even some of the words of Jesus are straight out of like some. I mean, I don't know. I've heard this. I've listened to a lot of different things, so I can't. I'm not gonna go and drop that. But I've heard that some of the stuff that even Jesus spoke of is straight out of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. But that could be a fake, because the story of that Maurice guy is pretty fucking interesting. So I don't know. I'm not going to say any, I'm not saying nothing. I want to look into all of it though. Maybe you know more about it than I do. If you are somebody who does, like I said, hit me up. I would love to talk to you about it. I would love to have some conversations, get the ball rolling, because that's what this show is all about. That's why I started this podcast. It's because I am a very curious individual, and I'm always looking into different stuff, and I thought, why not just talk about it to my little friend microphone here, and then put it on the internet and see if anybody will listen. And if nobody does, I don't really care. I'm at least learning a bunch of stuff and enriching my mind with some beautiful knowledge that has been passed down for thousands of years, maybe even longer, maybe hundreds of thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands of years. Maybe it's all fake. Maybe it's all forgery. Maybe it's all psyop. Maybe we're all being led astray by the false prophets of Hermeticism. I don't know. I like to believe that some of it is true because when you read into it and then you look into meditation and then you also look into the ways that certain mental illnesses are being treated, mental health illnesses are being treated. It's done with breathing practices and meditation and positive affirmations and stuff like that. And it is all kind of related, kind of makes sense. But then they try to give you pills and try to do that too at the same time. But when you get there are good people out there that try to treat mental illness with really good methods. So yeah, that's my shout out for that's my PSA for some mental health awareness month. I don't really know if it really is that. I'm just joking. But anyway, the Emerald Tablet, I think there's some wisdom in it. I think it's deep. I love it. I want to look more into it. I want to know what you think about it. I want to know what your thoughts are, beautiful truth seekers, members of the Brave New World Order. Hit me up. I'd love to hear your thoughts for sure. At BNWO Podcast on Twitter and the Brave New World Order Podcast at gmail.com. That is my email. Say what's up. And I will be checking in with some current events coming up. Maybe tomorrow I will drop an episode. That would be May 1st. And I would definitely be doing some more deep dives. I'm going to probably drop an episode numero dos on the Emerald Tablet. Probably read some of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and dissect a little bit of that. Try to get a little more understanding of that. If you think that's a good idea, let me know. I think it is. I don't see any harm in it. I only see enlightenment. I only see the path of enlightenment in this stuff. I don't see any harm in looking up. I think it's very fascinating. I know that once you go more and deeper, you get into the Golden Dawn and all that fucking crazy ass shit. But that's the dark side of stuff. Everything has a light and dark. That's the duality. You don't have to use anything for bad purposes. You can be a good person, enlighten yourself, enrich your mind, and you can use it to meditate and whatever, just to be a better person. You don't have to be Aleister Crowley and do fucking magic, sex magic, blood rituals and shit. Fuck that guy. You can be a good person and enlighten yourself. Take a walk outside in the sun and embrace it and take a deep breath and give your mom a hug or your friends or your wife, your kids. Tell them you love them. All that good shit, you know? Just be a good person. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm about. So I hope you are too. I hope you're having a good weekend. That's when I'm recording this on Saturday. And I'm just chilling in the Brave New World Order. I hope you're having a great, great weekend. I'll be checking in soon. Subscribe, like, follow, leave a review, do whatever. Say hi. Like I said, email me, tweet at me, do whatever you got to do. Join the Brave New World Order. I'm Brandon St. One. Stay positive, think for yourself, and question everything. Peace.